welcome back to another video. I'm Steph.
And I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ellie.
And she's going to be our little helper today. And this video is all inspired by you. Thank you for asking for a tutorial. For a tutorial on this other plaster pot that we talked about in our Pottery Barn inspired pot that you guys have loved. So stay tuned and we're going to show you this new technique today.
We first headed to our favorite thrift store to look for something that we could turn into our pot, and we spotted this green glass piece, and we loved the shape of it and thought it would make a terrific pot. What we will need for this pot is some cold water. It needs to be between 40 and 50 degrees, and so we put some ice cubes in the water. We've got our plaster of Paris here, a container for mixing. You'll need something to mix with. So we're just going to use some stir sticks, a couple of measuring cups, and our pot. Now we picked this up at the thrift store and we liked the shape of it, and so we are going to cover this with our plaster mixture and make it look just like it came from Pottery Barn. All right, so we need to mix our water with the plaster, and we want to put the water in our container first. And so we're going to use a 2-to-1, so 1 part water, 2 parts of the powder. So I'm just going to dip into our cold water and get a 1/2 cup of water and then 1 cup of the plaster of Paris. And you want to make sure that you're only mixing up the amount that you can use in 10 minutes time, because after that it's starting to thicken up and you won't be able to work with it.
Looks like flour.
It does look like flour, doesn't it? We're not making cookies though. Pull that off. Okay. So to our water, I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see. Got the water in there. I'm going to add the powder. The powder, the plaster of Paris.
Plaster powder.
Yep. Okay. Now we're going to stir it. Okay. You want to be the stirrer? Okay. Okay. You need to keep it up here though to stir so that it can be seen in the camera. I'm going to tip it a little bit while you stir. Okay. Great.
Can you grab the stick still?
So we want to stir it so we don't have any lumps in it. See if you can see in there good. Now it's a little too runny to use right now. You can see that it's falling off. So we're going to let it sit for a minute or 2 to start to thicken up. All right, so I added maybe about another tablespoon to that. My measuring cup was not quite full. You can see now that it's starting to hold its shape. So that's what we need it to do, is to hold its shape when we're putting it on. Please subscribe to our channel and help us grow our following. Okay, you can see now that it's holding its shape. If you're enjoying this tutorial, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. So I'll begin by spreading the plaster mixture onto my container, and I'm just going to use the paint stir stick that we used to mix it up. You could use a putty knife. You can go ahead and use your fingers if you'd like to. I try to keep my fingers out of it for as long as I can because it does tend to dry your skin out a bit. You don't need to worry about covering the container totally with your first coat. You will want to put 2 coats of this plaster mixer, the plaster mix over the entire pot. Now, as I work on my pot, Ellie will be working right alongside of me, doing her pot and spreading on the plaster on hers as well. As I apply this plaster mixture, I'm not going to put it up on the rim of the pot just yet, and I'm not going to cover the bottom of the pot either. It's just going up to the edge of the bottom and the edge of the top. Okay, so the pot is starting to dry, and so I'm just going to kind of smooth it out. I want to keep some of the texture on there, but there's some places that it's a little bit rougher than I want it to be, so I'm just going to kind of smooth it with my fingers. So it's kind of ripply here, you can see that. And this is just our first coat. There will be a second coat that's going to go on top of this. We are ready to do our second coat. The first coat has dried, and so we're going to put it on again, just using our paint stick just to slap it on there. And then we're going to use our fingers now to kind of shape it and smooth it how we want it to be. So I'll get an initial coat on here. Please subscribe to our channel and tap that bell for notifications so you'll know when new videos are released. I'll probably go all the way around and get that initial coat on there. We're just going to make sure that we've covered all of the glass this time on the vase. And let me just say one thing too about this. We've done this a few different times on glass and ceramic, and you might think that over time it might chip off and fall off, but
it doesn't.
It does not. It stays on really well. This plaster really adheres well to the glass surface. Now, I wouldn't use this on an outdoor pot necessarily. I don't know how it would stand up to weather. Maybe if you had a protected area it might work, but for a weathered area I would not put it outside. Okay. And Ellie, are you having fun?
Yeah.
Good. She loves to craft, so this is just right up her alley here. I'm also, you'll see that I'm not covering all of the rim yet. I'm going to come back and actually, once this coat sets up, come in and fix that rim area too. Now, as we mixed up this second batch, it also is a little thicker than we did our first batch. You can see that it's kind of holding its shape more than the first layer did.
I need another block.
Do you? Okay. Where do you want it? Right here? Okay. Right here? I'm gonna,
There.
right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Looks like we're gonna probably have to mix up some more too. May not have quite enough. And again, when you mix this, you want to make sure that you only mix as much as you can use in about 10 minutes time, because after 10 minutes,
It's right.
yeah, it's starting to set up and you really can't
Fix it.
yeah, you can't manipulate it anymore. It's really set. Okay, I'm just gonna go around this lower edge here. Once that second layer is on the vase or the pot, I'm going to take my fingers and just smooth out any marks that were made as I applied the plaster. As I go around and smooth out my little marks, I want to leave little divots and dimples that are actually showing up in the pot. That's going to give it the characteristic of an old handmade pot, which is exactly what we're trying to go for here. So you want to leave some of those imperfections that are there from applying the plaster to the vase or the pot. We want it to really look handmade. So if it's a little bit lopsided, that's okay. We want it, it doesn't need to be perfect. We want it to have those characteristics of a piece that looks like it's more than 100 years old. And as you work with this, you'll notice that the second coat is going to dry faster than our first coat because it was a little bit thicker. And that will give us the opportunity to begin working on the rim of the pot and that little lower edge as well a little bit sooner. Now I'm ready to do the rim edge here, and I have mixed up some more of my plaster, and this time it's just a little bit thicker. And I'm going to kind of work it around the edge. And with this part, you just have to use your hands. There's no way of getting around that. So I'm just going to kind of dab it around the edge of the pot here, and then I'm going to kind of try to mold it and shape it. And as it dries a little bit, then I can get the shape that I want better. But my initial one is just to cover that top rim, and then I'm going to come by and kind of make a little lip around the edge. Now this is going to dry quicker than our other layers have because it's thicker. As you can see right here how it's just kind of holding its own. Okay. And one thing about working this with your hands, it does dry your hands out. And I've tried doing this with gloves and it just doesn't really work very well. So once you're done with this little project, you're just gonna have to lotion up your hands really well, put on a really good hand cream to help them. Okay, so I've got it around. Now I'll just kind of work it with my fingers and shape it. Now I don't care about doing the inside of the pot. That's not gonna show. Once I put my plant in here, it will never show. So I'm just gonna work this edge. Okay, there I have it. Now I'm just going to let it totally cure before I paint it. So I think it's best to just let it cure overnight so that I know that the plaster is good and dry before I apply the painted finish. My pot is now all dry, and you can tell your pot is dry and ready to paint when the plaster is all white. Now give the pot a coat of paint. I am using just a sample white that I had left over, and it is a bare paint called Cameo White. Now for the fun part, bringing in the shading that is going to give this pot its dimension and age. I'm going to use 3 different colors of gray. You could use whatever paint you happen to have on hand. I just went through my little paint bin and I picked out 3 colors that I had. I have Bare Garden Wall, which is a leftover sample, and then I have Ceram Coat, Hammered Iron, and Folk Art Medium Gray. Using an old paintbrush, I'm going to dab on my first color, which is the Garden Wall, and I'm just going to randomly dab that onto the pot, and then I'm going to take a dampened coffee filter and just kind of blend in that color. So I want to soften the white, but I'm also leaving the darker color in the grooves that are left in the pot and the little divots. As you can see, as I point those out, you can see those little divot areas have a little bit darker color. And I'm just going to continue with this all around the entire pot. Now I'm ready to add my second color, which is a little darker gray, and it's called Hammered Iron. And I'm going to, again, dab it on with an old paintbrush, and this time I'm really just focusing on those little divot areas, those little dimples that are showing up in the plaster. And then once again, I'll take the damp coffee filter and just kind of blend those in. I'm going to do less of this color. I'm not going to try to blend it in to the entire area, but I am going to focus more on the little divots. The pot is already starting to have dimension and look vintage with just the addition of those 2 colors. And now for the final color, which is that medium gray color, I'm just going to dab that in a few places, again with my old worn brush, and just add in that other layer of color, which is going to just help it feel like it has been weathered and worn and been sitting around for a while. And here is my completed pot. I love the way it looks. It really has that characteristics of an old vintage hand-thrown pot. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. That helps our channel to grow. And if you have any questions, please drop us a comment. We would love to hear from you.
So how did you like this tutorial? This is the inspiration pot that we kept getting questions on from our previous textured pot video, and this is our finished pot from this tutorial. Same technique, different paint colors used. So which pot do you like better? Be sure to comment below.
All right, and here's little Ellie's pot that she was working on. She lost interest before she got the paint. So
you can see the difference.
You can see the difference.
Plaster and paint.
So we'll get her another day to finish up her pot and get it painted. But thanks for watching a Sunnyside design video. And please subscribe to our channel, like this video if you found it helpful, and give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and help our channel grow. And as always here at Sunnyside Design, we hope to bring your home to the sunny side of the street.